Meanwhile, Joe Gray is ready for his next talk. Joe Gray is a social engineer extraordinaire. He won the Duplication Social Engineer CTF. He is a forensics enthusiast. And he will now present OSINT for the win. Joe, it's all yours.
Perfect, thanks for having me. So for this talk, I'm going to be in my alter ego, Donnie Butts. I'm the state password inspector. So I'll be doing password inspections off to the side at the conclusion of my final talk of the day. So with that being said, before we get started, and my computer just went belly up apparently. Let me try this momentarily. Oh, that's right. I've got a window open. One moment. Well, you know, there's going to be some technical issues, right? All right. So before we get started, the thoughts and opinions in this presentation are not those of IBM, they're mine and mine alone. So now that that's out of the way, I'm a senior security architect at IBM. I am the 2017 Duplication Social Engineer Capture the Flag winner. I do podcasts, my own advanced persistent security. I appear on others such as Vince of the Bay, which is coming forward later. I write blogs for various outlets. I contribute with Peerlyst. I'm the co-founder of Through the Hacking Glass with Brian Austin. And I tap out a lot in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you either win or you learn. I learn a lot. With that being said, the goal. I want to talk to you about social engineering and about OSINT, how the two work together, how to maximize your social engineering potential through the use of OSINT. We'll talk about the types of social engineering. I will briefly cover things like dumpster diving, baiting, and things like that, but we'll primarily focus on pretexting, vishing, and phishing. We'll go through some tools and techniques, again, the integration, and let's face it, at the end of the day, whether you think you're an attacker or you think you're a defender, in the report, you're still going to give recommendations. So I'm going to help you with some recommendations and some mitigations to be able to train the teams to withstand these attacks a little bit better. So with that being said, what is social engineering? If I were going to summarize it in 2 words, it is human hacking. It is using human nature and psychology to influence people to do things they wouldn't otherwise do in a way that allows you, the social engineer, to meet your objective. I have these 3 books up here because these are the 3 books that if you're starting out in social engineering, you start here. Read these 3 books. Social Engineering, The Art of Human Hacking by Chris Hadnagy. On the right, we have The Art of Deception by Kevin Mitnick. And in the middle, that guy's not even a security guy. That's Dr. Robert Cialdini. We'll go over the 6 Principles of Persuasion, and that's where it comes from that book. So you don't need expensive equipment to be a successful social engineer. I mean, for the most part, you could do it nearly free. Nearly. Sometimes you do have to pay for a few things. So with the pioneers of the art, in the top left, we have Kevin Mitnick, and in the top right, that's Dr. Cialdini. The bottom right's Chris Hadnagy. Does anyone know who the bottom left is? No? Anybody seen this movie? That's Frank Abagnale. That's who Leonardo DiCaprio played. He now designs secure checks for the FBI. Got a little heavy there. So some examples of social engineering. We have phishing. Anyone with an email account has seen a phishing attempt, whether it be from an exploit kit or someone who actually knows what they're doing. To me, the phishing emails you see off exploit kits are just incredibly lazy, poorly thought out, and easily detectable. They'll have their bad English, as I say. They may take you to some site that just looks totally bogus. They typically don't use HTTPS. Some do now. I know the fish I deploy do, but it varies. So spear phishing, that's just very focused fishing. Whaling, you're going after the big fish, sea levels. They're my personal favorite because if you can get through to them past their assistant and actually get them to do something, chances are they've got administrative rights because IT management doesn't want to tell the sea levels no. Phishing, that's via voice. That's when the Microsoft calls you and tells you that your system is trying to infect them with the malwares and they need your username and password to fix it. Phishing is growing. It's via text. Then baiting, you get some thumb drives, you put some malicious code on it, you put property of the CEO, you drop it in the lobby at work. One of two things is going to happen there, right? Either somebody's going to be nosy and plug in themselves to see what the CEO is looking at, or they're going to be doubly do right, give it to the CEO, and the CEO is going to plug it in and do it for you there. You can also use things like terminations, bonuses, W-2s. You put anything on. Malicious QR codes work very well as well. Like between October and December when it's open enrollment season for insurance, all you're going to do is say, hey, open enrollment, this QR code. People are going to do it. Pretexting, that's impersonation. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Dumpster diving, tailgating, those are pretty self-explanatory. Tailgating, that one works really well whenever you're scoping your company out and you find a smoking area. Show up with a dozen ones and a cup of coffee, they will break their neck to let you in. They will put the cigarettes out early to let you in if they think they're getting a donut. Pretexting, the reason, why do we have Daniel Day-Lewis here? He's a method actor, meaning he stays in character. Whoever he's playing, he plays that character until he's done filming. I lived in the Richmond area when he filmed Lincoln, and I cannot tell you how many stores in the Petersburg area, how many restaurants have signs saying, Lincoln dined here, because he stayed in that character the whole time. When I was researching, I found out that he didn't bathe for 3 months when he was doing The Crucible, because that was the norm in that time period. So that scene when he comes up out of the water towards the end, for the sake of his cast, I hope they filmed that halfway through. More than likely, probably one of the last scenes. But either way, method actors, that's the perfect example of pretexting. They stay in that character. Because Mark Twain once said, the hardest part about telling lies is keeping them straight. And, I mean, that's so impeccably true. When you're doing the vision calls, you've got to maintain your character. People are going to ask you things, they're going to challenge you, and you've got to stick to the script. If you don't know what your name is or anything they ask you, and you show the least bit of hesitation or lack of confidence, you're done. So there's a website I like to go to that actually makes that data up for you, and I'll show you later. So the goals. This basically ties into the 6 principles of persuasion. This is Dr. Cialdini stuff. And think about the last time you went to a big box retailer to buy something, or even bought a used car. That's when this stuff just comes out ridiculously. I'll touch authority as the final one because you don't really see that in the sales environment, but the other 5 you do. So you're at a used car dealership. Reciprocity. Hey, you pay a little bit extra money for this car. I'll take you out to dinner tonight. How's that sound? Oh, you will. I would not mind going to Ruth's Chris if I say so myself. I'll make sure that whatever I pay extra, he pays out of his pocket too. Commitment and consistency. You have consistently bought cars from me for your entire adult life. I would never steer you wrong. Why would you have any reason not to trust me? Social proof. Oh, you're a 30-something-year-old male. You need a 2-seater because that's what men your age drive. Sorry, I was worried about gas mileage. I don't want your Z4. I want this Passat because it gets like barely 40 to the gallon. Thanks. Anyone here ever met a salesperson that didn't at least try to be likable? Likable salespeople, I mean, that's hit or miss. They come and go. I've met a few that aren't likable. But they at least pretended or tried to be likable. Because people like to do things with likable people. Urgency, scarcity. You're talking about the used car, this one. Back in the day, was the biggest. They used it all the time. Now, actually, in 2015, when I was looking at buying a car, I had a dealership try this on me. I called them on it, and I laughed all the way out the door. They're like, yeah, there was a guy that was just here. He was interested in this car. He went down the road to the bank to get financing. If you can get financed before him, it's yours. Okay. That used to work. But here's the thing. When you buy a car now, who goes to the bank and gets the financing? If you're going to go to the bank and get financing, you're going to get it before you show up. If you don't have it when you show up, you're going to let the dealership get it for you, right? They said that to me, and I was like, that's funny. It's 8:30 on a Sunday. He went down the road to the bank. You ever heard of the term banker's hours? Banks are open at 8:30 on a Sunday. Sorry. And then I brought up the whole, that's just not the way people do things anymore. And they're like, well, whatever. And then they had the finance manager come out, and like, I'm not a huge fan of being called sir. I mean, I feel like I'm too young to be called that. But something about it when he called me bruh just sent me hanging off the edge. I nearly lost my mind. So I saw they had some free drinks and I got like 2 bottles of Sprite, and I was like, sorry, I'm not buying here. Bye. And this is after they tried to tell me that I had to purchase the warranty to purchase the car there. I was like, can you show me that regulation that says that? Well, it's not a law. Well, then why do I have to do it? Not a good dealership. If anybody wants to know which one, I'm not going to say publicly, but if you shoot me an email, I'll tell you where. It's in Atlanta. I'll tell you that much. Authority. You can't really use that in sales. Whenever I do vishing phone calls, though, I like to say, I'm operating under the authority of XYZ. If I were going after a city, I'm operating under the authority of the city manager, the mayor, a company, the CEO, the CISO, the IT manager, someone with some level of authority. You don't say you're that person. And trust me, when you're doing these calls or any sort of social engineering, never impersonate a federal employee. Don't say you're the IRS. Don't say you're a cop. Don't say you're the feds. Don't. You can say you're operating under the authority of someone in power. Just stay away from the whole government thing. Because the joke is, if you want to get hired by NSA, you need a felony or a doctorate. That's not the kind of felonies they look for. But it works. So with it, we want to do one of two things. We want to influence you to give me data or do something. Okay, what kind of data? Well, can you tell me what kind of browser you use? How do you open PDFs? What's your mail client? Do you have food service? Who runs the cafeteria? Who's your janitor? How often do you get paid? These are all things I could ask. And there are reasons that I would ask those questions beyond the fact that they are all flags for the SECTF. They're flags because they are things that can be used against a company to compromise. If I know the pay period, and I know, for example, like teachers, they get paid once a month. If they're getting paid on the last day of the month, the days prior, if you're going to try to coerce someone financially, that's when you're going to do it. If you want to pose as a janitor, you need to know what kind of uniform to go buy off of eBay. You need to know who their dumpster company is, so whenever you come in and say, hey, the right assembly arm of your dumpster is warped, and my truck driver said he can't pick it up, so if you don't let me go look at it, we're not going to be able to get it fixed, and your trash is going to pile up for 3 weeks. I want to show up in one company's shirt, and they have a different company. This may work, but it may not. Think about this from a sales perspective. Tell me about the challenges in your environment. That's an age-old sales phrase right there. Talk to some IT salespeople. Tell me about the challenges in your environment. In other words, tell me about what I'm going to try to sell you that probably is irrelevant. Who's a better target? Oh, you're not the decision maker? Could you point me in the direction of who is? I actually had someone phrase it that exact way. Who is? I was like, yeah, totally. Just go to this domain, and there's a contact form on it, and it's whois.domaintools.com. He's like, this just says who is. I was like, yeah, you asked who is. Yeah, totally, but I'm TIS. Performing an action. Of course, opening the email, clicking the link, opening the file. Or here's my favorite. Coerce the firewall administrator to open ports for you. Open 1337, open 4444. I can't think of a single valid reason why either of those two ports should be open. None. So OSINT. Let's start shifting gears about OSINT, the open source intelligence. And I got these definitions, some of the stuff from the CIA. They acknowledge it. They've got the word intelligence in their agency name, regardless of the lack thereof or presence of intelligence. The reality is they have a lot of data on this. So basically, where do we get OSINT? Well, the internet, of course. Newspapers. Who's bragging about what? Death notices. I hate to say it. It's disgusting, but it happens. Marriage announcements, baby announcements, all things in the newspaper. Classified ads, personals. They're all examples. Mass media. Peerlyst is a source. It just is. Any blogging platform is a source. Whenever you deal with conferences, RSA, Black Hat, DEF CON, companies are in bragging about what they're researching and what they're learning. Stuff ends up on the internet, and it can be weaponized. When IEEE and ACM put on conferences, they have conference proceedings, and you publish formally peer-reviewed documents, and it's usually a college bragging about what they're working on to try to get more funding. Well, you get names, you get phone numbers, you get email addresses, and you get some context in terms of what people are researching. That is the context for the contact. Photos, metadata. So when you steal it from social media, the only thing you can really find via metadata is, was it an iPhone, an Android, or a camera? It's really about all you're going to find. They wipe everything else out. If you can trick someone into sending you a photo, now you can get, like if it's taken on an iPhone, you can find out if it was the front camera, the back camera, the tilt, whether it was vertical or horizontal. You can get the latitude and longitude. You can find out which version of iPhone they're running, all sorts of stuff. Not that I've ever done that. I didn't trick them. They just sent it to me. And I was like, well, I'm just going to be nosy. And I was. And it maps. When I'm looking at a target, I like to take a trip around the premises. And by trip, I mean from the comfort of my office. I'll use things like Google and Bing Maps. I'll drive around. One of the flags is who does deliveries. So I was driving around my target's building on Google Maps, and I see this big brown boxy truck backed up to the building. Well, there's one company that's known for having big brown boxy trucks, UPS. So, I mean, with that, you only have like 5 options anyway for deliveries. But nevertheless, that's one of those. You can look at that. You can. It's like Strava, for example, the fitness app. If you're on Twitter, you know all about the brouhaha with that. People who should have been using it and should have known better were using Strava to work out around a military base that had not been mapped. It was classified. And they actually named it base perimeter. And then Strava's terms and conditions said, we're going to make this public. They didn't read it because who does? And as a byproduct, it got published. So now we know about this base. So, and it's a shame that people dox themselves, but it's just another example of read the terms and conditions. If you don't want to read them in entirety, you can go to a website called TOSDR, Terms of Service, didn't read. And it basically summarizes what you need to know. So OSINT pioneers. It's really one. And I couldn't put a picture of him up because when you go looking, he is so heavy on disinformation. You're going to find pictures with his name on it. That's not him. You're going to find pictures of him with someone else's name, and so on. Michael Basil just does not allow photography. You take his class, no photos. You meet him, no photos. It's just the way it is. That's his measured risk. But he wrote these 3 books, Hiding from the Internet, Open Source Intelligence Techniques, and the Complete Privacy and Security Desk Reference. Volume 2 of that's about to come out. The 6th edition of Intelligence Techniques just came out, and the 3rd edition of Hiding from the Internet just came out. So definitely take a look at them. If you want to get into OSINT, this is where you start. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Go to the horse's mouth. This guy, he worked on the cybercrime unit as a Fed, and he had to maintain OPSEC. So hiding from the internet is basically his lessons from him having Operation Security.
What's his name again?
Michael Bazzell, Bazzell. We'll see his website here in a bit as well. He's got a lot of interesting tools on it. But anyway, we can get the OSINT beyond, we've talked about the broad stroke, what the CIA said. Let's think about it more practically, right? Bars. All you gotta do, actually, I'll give you a better example. So I tweeted about this yesterday. I'm standing in line at the Atlanta airport, about to board for San Francisco. Behind me in line is a chap. I'm not using the term gentleman for a reason. He whips out his headphones and puts them in. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go listen to some Alter Bridge and fantasize about wearing his affliction and tap out. He's that kind of person. Of sorts. So he gets on the phone. He's talking to somebody. He starts out, his tone is about like this. No one was turning around and looking at him. So his tone became like this as he's on the phone talking about the conferences that he had been to that week for his employer, Aflac. He starts talking about people within the organization, toxic leaders, great leaders, idiots on the team. He was disparaging people by name after saying he worked at Aflac. Then he goes on to thank the guy on the other end of the phone. I got the person's name because he flipped his phone like this, and I mean, I'm nosy. You can't do OSINT and not be nosy. That's just the reality. But nevertheless, I saw the person's name. And he's like, I really appreciate your recommendation for suits. I went out and spent the 10 grand that I got in a bonus on 10 suits. It's like, so how could we deconstruct this? Okay, well, you probably don't want to send him a fish from Joseph A. Banker Men's Warehouse because he's probably above that. The other thing I forgot to mention was being incredibly vulgar. F this, GD that, straight vulgar. I don't care if there were kids around. I mean, I've got the mouth of a sailor, but I also control it as well. I mean, anyone who follows me on Twitter knows, like, I just don't do it. Anyway, that's a great example because I know who these people work for, I know who they're associated with. If I'd been a little bit nosy, I could have gone on LinkedIn and probably found out who he was. But in-flight Wi-Fi was cut off. I didn't have time, and then I took a nap. So anyway, ours. Just gotta wait for somebody drowning their sorrows about work or bragging about something at work. These are all human things. Humans do it all the time. Malls. I was walking around at Macy's in Atlanta around Christmas 2016, I think it was. There's a guy on the phone just spouting his credit card number to the bank on the phone, left and right. It's like, okay, I got the 48675 card. Can you back through the other part? Restaurants. There's a Thai restaurant I like to go to in Knoxville. I like to sit in the bar area. There's these little portholes that go into the dining room. I've heard people blow $100,000, $1 million deals just because they're idiots. Just because they're eavesdropping. Again, you can do OSINT and not be nosy. So just own it. Family and friends, who here does not have social media accounts whatsoever? Children, parents, spouse, friends, somebody you know has social media, and Facebook knows who you are. I guarantee it. Even if you're going to try to hide, something I'll cover in the 4 o'clock hour when I go over Decepticon. Even if you're not going to put your real picture on social media, create your fake account, do whatever, then create a post that only you can see and post your picture to it so that the facial recognition filters will pick up on it. Nobody else will be able to see it too, but you can kind of control what's there. So if people start posting pictures about you, you can have some notification. I can't count the number of times I've nearly crashed my car from trying to take pictures of back windshields. I'll get into that in a moment too. But forums. One of my targets on the SCCTF, I went looking for basically a regular expression of the syntax of their email address. He had been emailing a mailing list. It was dealing with storage devices. He was asking for some help there. He's a nice guy. He put some logs there too. But he didn't scrub his signature line to take his email address out. So when his mailing list became public, I was able to find it. From there, I was able to enumerate what his GitHub username was. From there, I was able to find out that they use Netflix ICE, which is used to estimate how much they're going to spend on AWS. I found out that they had Nagios for availability monitoring, and he had scripts to synchronize his Red Hat update servers. Sorry, but most people just don't use that at home. Nagios you might use at home, maybe. Red Hat, probably not. Scientific links and CentOS are free. Why pay for something that you can get for free? And they're literally near identical. Job boards, it's a double-edged sword. On Indeed, I found that they were hiring someone, actually found that they were hiring some people, but it was nothing fun on Indeed for that. I went to the career site and found that they were trying to find an Oracle ERP administrator specializing on version 12.2.5. Exploit DB showed that they had SQL injection vulnerability and a server-side request forgery. Because it's an ERP system, there's a good chance it's public-facing. Yep. Also on Indeed, I found an employee that worked in the facility now. But one of the flags is who does the security for the company, not like who's their infosec. Who mans the gate? This person said, my job is this, and my previous job was I worked for Allied Martin as a gate guard for company name here. Thank you very much. Neat. Straight shot. Got it. Google, your Google food's got to be strong. If you come to the RSA talk tomorrow that Rachel and I are giving, I'm definitely going to be talking about Google food. Social media, I mean, that's gold mine. Rachel will be handling the social media aspect of it in great detail, as much detail as we can cram in within our allotted time. So here's an example of OSINT. What can we infer from this fan? Think of this from the lens of you are a criminal and you want to break into this family's house and rob them blind and take Klaus's cell phone. You're welcome, buddy. So, you're going to do it. Mom's a teacher. You're going to stay away through the summer, fall break, spring break, and federal holidays. Dad, he's either really buff or he just thinks he is. The only rips he might need is the rip in his pants from bending over. We don't know. At 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., there's a good chance he's in the gym. John, he's old enough, he looks like he probably plays competitive soccer. I would go looking for his team's schedule online to see when they're going to be out of town for games. So there's a good chance the whole family's going to go. With Neil, Neil's a skater. You get your pair of Etnies shoes, stroll up to the skate park, because we're in San Francisco, introduce him to the dead Kennedys, because I guarantee he's probably never heard of them. He'll thank you forever. You've got instant rapport with him. Jessica is the curveball. I can't infer enough about her hobbies or her age. I don't know if she's old enough to watch herself, or if she has any specific activity, or if she just hangs out with mom after school. Seeing Beaker and Rudy, I'm not an advocate of harming animals, so if I were going to break into their house, I would take some dog bones, something to keep them busy, and build rapport with them. Because dogs always like people who give them food. And the thing is, Ruby looks like a hound. Hounds make noise. They're going to howl. You're going to need to shut them up really quickly. So just take them a bone, take them some food, something, be a friend, throw a tennis ball for them. I don't know. Whatever. Just build a rapport with them. That's just a single example, though. That's from one family. So let's talk about the timing. We can't talk about timing without Flavor Flav, right? It's all about the timing. But basically, it's relevant to both disciplines. That's relevant in the sense that for social engineering, sometimes your best attack is going to be long and drawn out. You putting together a fish and getting it deployed in 5 minutes, you're probably going to make a mistake. With OSINT, you're going to miss very relevant details that could make your social engineering or other attacks ridiculously easy.
The muffins are done.
Yep, the muffins are done. In the Navy, we use the term slow is fast. And that doesn't mean go at the rate of turtles racing in Alaska in peanut butter in January. That means be methodical, be deliberate, be concise, make sure what you're doing is what you want to be doing, and just make sure that you're just not rushing through it. Because especially with OSINT, you're going to be like right at the end of what you consider your investigation, and you're going to find some earth-shattering detail and have to restart the whole process again with that detail. It's the nature of the beast. If you're doing this as a consultant, you might not be able to act upon it because, as I stated in the forensics talk earlier, it's all about billable hours. So keep that in mind. That's important. But at the same time, you don't want to go too slow because you might get busted. It just varies. At the end of the day, you want to be precise and you don't want to be sloppy. If I were going to sum up this whole slide, that's what it would be. So, how do these mesh? Well, they both rely on humans. And one thing that I will never say, I will never go and say, people are dumb. Well, yeah, I won't touch that. We already know that. But I wouldn't say my customers are dumb, my clients are dumb, the people I fish are dumb. What does that say about you because they hired you? But here's the thing about it. They mesh because they both deal with the human psychology. There's a troll group that I'm a member of on Facebook, and we've got like codes for various characters. And number 17 is the oversharer. So you rely on people to be a number 17 and overshare for you to get things. And that's a human thing. They overshare because they just have no filter, because they're looking for attention, because they're looking for help. It doesn't matter why they're number 17, they number 17. That's what it boils down to. You can use the OSINT to build the dossier on your target. For example, I was able to get domain admin on a bank. I didn't do the first port scan or anything. I found out that a few months prior to this attack, they had been robbed. So I had a couple of targets. We ran hard OSINT on them. The female target, we knew where she ate every day of the week. We knew her niece's nickname for her. We knew when she was married, to whom she was married, who was the officiator of the wedding, who the photographer was, where the wedding was, everything. Facebook was sent to public. The other guy, we knew that he was having baby monitor on. She never answered the phone. He did. We played a baby crying in the background, and every time he questioned us, I cranked the volume a little bit louder. 45 minutes later, he didn't crack. Okay. Attaboy, your name is going into the report. You did the right thing. Great. So then we spoofed Legal's number and called our CFO. And this client was in the southeastern United States, so I'm going to bring out my authentic Tennessee accent as I do this. How you doing, man? I tell you what, this boy I go to church with, he's trying to get him an internship at the FBI, and he's going to try to be a lawyer, but he wants to know about the impact that financial institutions have to deal with after adverse events like getting robbed. Financial institution had been robbed a few months prior, right? He called this bank, he called that bank. One of them threatened the law on him. You're his last hope. Could you help?
Yeah, I can help.
Okay, that's excellent. What email address do I have him send this stuff to?
Just give my work.
Okay. And what address is that? Can you confirm it?
Moneylaw@bank.com.
It wasn't really bank.com, but you get the point. Okay, cool. So we hang up. 7 minutes and 43 seconds, or some random, quasi-random, non-linear of sorts number of minutes and seconds later. Here goes an email. I created an email address with the word lawyer in it. Send it. It's just a link, nothing more. He clicks it not once, not twice, not 3, 15 times on his computer. 5 more on his phone. We recorded it in the GET request. He emails me back. Hey there, buddy, that link doesn't work. So all the page said was thank you. Anything else? That link didn't work, buddy. Can you send it to me as a file? Yeah, totally. So here goes the macro-enabled Word document. He opens it twice. The second time his AV picks up on it. Man, there's something wrong with that file. Can you get with your professor and make sure you have the right file? I really want to help you. Totally. So I wait a day. So that way I can talk to the professor. Our professor, I think he meant pen test practice. Hey man, you got an executable? Yeah. Cool. Here it is. I sent it to him. Google wouldn't let me send it. I had to put it in a zip file, upload it to Google Drive, and give him the link to get him to download it. He downloaded it. He executed it. We got the shell. That's how I know the C-levels have local admin, because we got the shell on his system. We were able, using his local admin, to do some stuff. We ran Mimikatz, their domain admin credential. I didn't do a port scan or anything. Didn't need to. There it was. Domain admin on a bank. What could I possibly do at that point? Pretty much whatever I want. But beyond that, the context for the contact. We covered that. Better pretext. Okay? I know this bank's been robbed, so I'm going to use that as part of my pretext. Better spoofishing. I know that you were late for your meeting in Amsterdam, your business meeting in Amsterdam, because your United Airlines flight was delayed in Newark. Hi, this is United Customer Care. Do you have a moment to talk about this? I want to make this right with you. You gave it to me. It's fair game. Or you can guess things, passwords. There's a tool out there on GitHub called Passwordology. It allows you to input things like spouse, children, siblings, dogs, most frequently used words into this. And it will go through and actually run substitutions on it. So that, like, if your dog's name is Hoppy and you use the password capital H0PPY, it will actually morph and make it work. It will do all sorts of things with capitalization and characters. It's a nasty little bugger. So that's something that you can easily go with. So it all starts with a single piece of information. I always like to say that it's like Weezer's Undone song. Because if you want to destroy the sweater, you're going to pull the string as I walk away, right? So you're just pulling the string of your target. You're learning more. You can start with a name, an email address, a phone number, a company name, an address, anything. And you just start to cross-correlate. You just start populating the map. And as you learn something new, see what else is assigned to that as well. So you have a real name, you find an email address and a username. Okay, where else can I find this? What websites has this username been registered on that I can find on Have I Been Pwned? I'm going to check all these websites for this username, and I'm going to see if it is this person. Think about those surveys you do. People are hanging out in the airport or the store, and they're like, would you like to win a $500 Amazon gift card? Just fill out this information. Similar to when you're at Hacker Summer Camp or RSA, and they're like, hey, you want to come to these parties with open bars? Just give us your email address. It's similar, but they're not as intrusive. But they'll ask you questions about, like, how many people are in your household? What's your name? What's your date of birth? I could just as easily set up a shop in the airport and say, hey, what was your mom's name before she was married? It's an easy way to get the mother's maiden name without saying it. I didn't say maiden, so most triggers and alarms that's going to go off were just bypassed. Oh, what else? You know, how did they dispose of it? I was in a Bass Pro Shop a couple years ago, and there was a team of people doing that. Hey, do you want a $500 Amazon gift card? No, thanks. Just got approved for a credit card. I'm good. Okay, well, you don't want a $500 Amazon card? You don't want free money? Well, let me see how many names you got there. No, that's way too many. The odds aren't in my favor right now. No. So I go back around the time that they were closing. One of the questions I asked these people before I shot them down and walked away was, what are you going to do with this data? We're going to input it into our system. Okay, cool. Then what are you going to do? We're going to give it to the marketing team. Okay, that's what I thought. How are you going to dispose of this paper? The people are filling this out. How are you going to dispose of this? We're going to take it back and shred it. Okay. I go around closing time. You want to guess what they were throwing in the dumpster? Yep. I got photographic evidence that I dumpster dove and got it, and then contacted the company and was like, and this is why I will not do anything with you. And really, yeah, a call may have been made to the state attorney general about that. But social engineering is the core of marketing. It's the core of sales. Just face it. The difference between social engineering and sales, motive. And not even really that, honestly. I tell every salesperson I know, you need to read these 3 books about social engineering. Because it's really the same. So that single piece of information, you can tie it to things like passwords, have I been pwned, paste bin, public records, court records. I saw an anti-OSINT talk last year at SkyDogCon, and the guy was giving advice such as legally change your name and legally get a new social. And my response was no and no. Why? They both create public records. No. SEC filings, when you're dealing with publicly traded companies, you're going to find out officials' names. Bloomberg.com gives you a lot of the same information. Friends on social media. So, is it one and done? No. Sometimes you need to do multiple rounds. It's one of those things when you find that last tidbit at the last second, it's like, man, I got to restart this again. But you know what? If you've got the time to do it and you do it, you'll probably win. So just reiterating the principles again. So reciprocity, commitment, consistency, social proof, likability, urgency, scarcity, and authority. Just think of how they, anytime you're doing a communications exercise, think of how that plays into what you're trying to achieve. I don't like using the word manipulation because that's more towards it has more of a malicious negative tone. So I stick with influence. I stole that idea from Chris Nagy, so just being honest. So how do we do it? We're going to take OSINT. We're going to know that you've been on vacation, that your flight was delayed, that your company was robbed, and we're going to piece it together for the fish or for the phone call. If we need to impersonate somebody associated with it, we will. So shift to mitigations, and then I'll do some demo period after this and the training piece. So technical mitigations, you can use things like Proofpoint. It's just going to prepend the word external or something that you configure to the email. I'll tell you what, it doesn't work because I got right through it, posing as the COO that in 3 days' time was going to become the CEO. They used Proofpoint. Their domain was .com. I bought .us, and I still got right in. And that account was actually added to a security group and a mailing list discussing sensitive internal materials. When I went to delete the account, I found the material and forwarded it to my point of contact and was like, hey there, buddy, you might want to take a look at this. Malware protection, it's going to protect you to some degree, but if the end game is not dropping malicious code, if the end game is getting data, it doesn't care. User behavior analytics and IDS signatures, same thing. If all I'm trying to do is get data out of you, no. Do OSINT and social engineering campaigns on your organization yourself. You can do the phishing internally, but I highly recommend outsourcing the OSINT for one specific reason. You have to have a certain level of trust between you and your employees. If you go do OSINT about the employees and start bringing up things from their personal life at work, you've betrayed their trust, and you may have broken some laws depending on where you are. That's why you pay somebody else to go off and do it, parse through the noise, and then give you the relevant stuff. This person put pictures of his badge on Facebook public. That company needs to know about that. They don't even know that somebody's having baby mama drama. They might, but probably not. And chances are if they're having it and it's really dramatic, they probably already know anyway. Okay, policies. You're going to have like your acceptable use policy, your general computing policy, your password policy, standards of conduct, all that. It works to a degree, but it's not the end-all be-all. So we'll just face that music immediately. Train the people. Like I was saying in the forensics talk earlier, people want to punish them for clicking the fish. People clicked fish. I've almost clicked fish. And I write fish. And I red fish, blue fish. And it's 2 fish, 3 fish. But anyway, just talk to them about that. Train them about insider threat. An untrained user is a passive insider threat. An active insider threat is someone who just wants to see the world burn, basically. Talk to them about social engineering and OSINT activities. Make them aware of what they're putting on social media and its impact on their personal lives and the company. Have recurring training. I understand some compliance schemes say you got to have annual training to check the box. Totally, do it. Supplement that with quarterly or monthly training to say, okay, well, since we've talked last, here are some new threats, some new trends. We've changed this technology around. You should expect to see this, blah, blah, blah. It's easier to digest, and people only have to retain it for about 90 days as opposed to 365. You need to have management commitment. I'll be honest, if I'm working for a company and I see that senior management thinks they're above the rules, I'm less likely to try to abide by them myself. It's just the nature of the beast. If they don't care, why should I? Because their bonuses are probably a lot bigger than mine. Role-based training, HR, sales, accounting, those are all positions that are expected to not only open every email, but open the attachments. Train them. Train them. Things to look for. Train Vince on how to walk through the aisles. But train them. Management, they deal with different problems than HR, than accounting, than sales, than IT, than help desk. Train people. Take the time and say, this is something unique to your role. You need to know about this. In your training, clearly define who to report things to, how to report them, when to report them. Clearly define all of this. What precise actions to do if they receive a fish or a fish. More importantly, precise actions if they fall victim to it. The exact company policy, the exact company point of contact. Don't say call IT. Say call this hotline number. Send a text to this number. Hop on this Slack and send it to this bot. Whatever. I don't recommend using email because if you've been phished, there's a good chance the email is compromised. If you want to use smoke signals, Morse code, carrier pigeons, Campbell's soup can on a string, go for it. Use the gamification, but be cautious. It can be abused. So just keep that in mind. That's about through the hacking glass, which I will be talking about next. So I'll skip that portion. If you want to contact me, here's my contact information. And there's the future speaking engagements. I'll leave it on that until I'm done with the demo. So now I'm going to run off and do it really quickly. So I'm going to do it from the back of the room. I'm going to be off the screen, but we'll have it up. So we'll see it. I'm fighting right up against the time, so I'm going to be as efficient as possible. Got I left the on. Getting everything started really quick though. There we go. I'm about to bring up the screen, so don't worry, you're not missing anything right now. All right, let's see here. All right, so sets up for duplication. So once it comes across, all right. So what we have here, this is the Facebook. I'm sorry, that's Google Maps. This is Facebook. So this is not really a real account, so I wouldn't even try to befriend it, no big deal. There's this cool thing on here though, called the live map. So as the name implies, what can we find on the live map? Well, they've added this discover thing here, and it really makes it look like things are just not going, right? Well, move away from that, and now, once it goes, we have this. Just waiting on it to look. All right. So we see all these dots here. These are all people that are publicly broadcasting on Facebook Live. So let's go be nosy, shall we? You always want to pick, when you're doing this, you always want to pick a big dot because it means there's more people watching. It means it's going to end up in the algorithm. So we'll hover right here. Super Deluxe.
You can't don't learn it too early.
All right, well, Oh, we have a visitor, Mr. McNeely.
You're right. You hold yourself. You're right, Mr. You know I'm telling the truth.
He's telling the truth. But anyway, so we got this here. So we're just going to take this right here. This is the video ID. We're going to copy this. I'm going to go ahead and close this before any audio kicks in. Then we're going to go over here to inteltechniques.com. This is Michael Basil's website. We go to Tools. And we're going to go to Facebook. We scroll down. And right here we see video data. We're going to pick all. We're going to find out where Mr. Sutton is, I think. So as soon as this loads, we're just going to do find for that video ID. There it is. Oh, look, here's a latitude and a longitude. So just copy that, drop it into Google Maps, cut this portion out. So they're by the Los Angeles River. Based on just maps view in general, so at least Long Beach, we're probably not going to see his exact location, but yeah, I'm going to say if he's right here, he's probably somewhere in this area where I'm trying to drop the person with no blue lines. But you can do this, and if they're like in a residential area, you can actually look at the exterior of their house using Street View, or wherever they are. So that's definitely one of the more terrifying ways to do it. You can also go to like Glassdoor and find pictures of badges and other things about companies. Excuse me. This right here is OSINTframework.com. It's one of my favorite places to go. That thing I was telling you about where I come up with my dossier to maintain, I go to OPSEC, and I go to persona creation and fake name generator. So here we can say whatever, right? Well, right here is Roberto Moultrie that lives in Hayward. There's a phone number. His mother's maiden name is Smith. There's his date of birth, everything. Pull this up right in front of you. When you're on one of those calls, they can question you about anything. The answers are right here. I don't have to say, and think about it. I can be like, Smith. No, for real, Smith. So that's just one of many ways that you can go about doing this. So that's pretty much it on the demo side. Just in terms of other things relative to this, as I summarize and conclude everything. Second. Slideshow back up. So you can put a fish together, a successful fish, for under 25 bucks. Your domain's as cheap as $1, 88 cents to be exact. Let's Encrypt for HTTPS, free. DigitalOcean Cloud Instance, $5 for a month. Google Apps, so that you can send an email and use Google's index record, which, by the way, most SPF records inherently trust Google's index record. $5. You might buy an expensive domain. Okay, if you do that, you're talking up to $32. You get a .com for about $12. So right at $25. And I'll tell you what, clone something like SurveyMonkey, put it right there, stand it up, you're going to capture everything. And you're going to do better than any automated phishing solution because it's not going to look so blatantly obvious. It's just the reality of it. But here's my future speaking engagements. I'm going to be on the road quite a bit. To win in bold here for SRI, Social Engineering Rhode Island, I'm going to be teaching an 8-hour course on this topic. It's going to cover a lot of the same stuff as this, but it's going to go into a lot more detail. I'm going to go into more of the phone side of things as well as the phishing, go a little bit into the automated solutions as well as creating payloads for baiting and phishing emails. So a lot of stuff is through EC Council, so you don't have to register that way. I think it's $499, but you get a cool, also my password, may I have your shirt? Any questions? I've got lots of questions for everyone. I need everyone to line up and give me their password so I can inspect them because I'm talking about the state password inspector. It's very legit. Any questions? Okay. Oh, for anyone who wasn't here earlier, if you want to go to Hacker Halls for free, there's some coupon codes. It's in Atlanta, Georgia on September 13th and 14th. So we expect to have about 40 speakers. Last year we had about 1,500 people come out. We're expecting about 2,000 this year. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And then besides that, if you want a Storm Kit, it's a Raspberry Pi touchscreen running Kali. It's mobile, comes with a mobile keyboard. If you want it, it's a coupon code for $100 off. It's really fun. The only thing is you can't install something because it's on ARM architecture. So I learned that Empire doesn't like it. It was either Empire or Fail. One of those frameworks used for one of the frameworks that you would use for creating malicious documents. Beyond that, that's the end of this presentation. I'm going to take a quick break and then I'll start with through the hacking class.
Thank you. Let's give Joe a hand. Thank you, Joe.